I had moved out of school. It was my freshman year of college, and I thought that it was only going to be like a continuation of spring break, like extended spring break. I was trying to say extenuation, but that should be a word. And I was like, okay, I'll just stay at my sister's because I'm not going to fly home and spend all the money flying home if we're just going to go back. And once the week had been up since I had moved into my sister's, we got the announcement that we probably weren't going to go back and that schools were shutting down for the rest of the year. And the school was starting to notify people that we were probably going to have to move all of our stuff from our dorms out. Like, everyone was going to have to hire movers because I don't even think people were really allowed on campus. So at that point, I'm like, I love my older sister, but I need to go home because I didn't know how long it was going to last. And they were talking about shutting down travel. So I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here while I can. And I was like rationalizing because it was hitting California hard. And I was like, if there's anywhere that I'm going to be safe, it's going to be in the fucking boondocks. Like, I'm just going to go back to Cowtown. That's literally what they call my town because there's allegedly more cows than people, which false, but it's funny. And they made our geotag cow print on Snapchat. Anyways, so I'm like, let me just go back to Cowtown. I fly back. Everything's fine. My mom's working at a hospital at the time. So you can only imagine she was exposed to it like every day. And cases were hitting New York like crazy and people were leaving New York trying to get away from it into Connecticut and all the other surrounding states. So my mom's like dealing with COVID at the hospital. I'm like, fuck it. I just got back. I'm going to go hang out with people. Not smart. I was 18, not that that's an excuse, but like I just was very selfish at the time. Oh, maybe I was 19. Goddamn. So anyways, that and like we didn't know how bad it was. Like I wasn't really using common sense, you know? And so I'm out and I'm hanging out. I didn't hang out with that many people. Also in my defense, like I literally was hanging out with my fucking plug and my best friend from high school, and that was it. And then she saw people. I didn't see them, that's why. So she we're smoking at my plug's house like every single day, and my mom had said that she didn't feel well, but she thought it was like allergies. She like didn't feel that sick, and the people obviously that she was seeing at the hospital were very sick. There was little knowledge of it. No one knew how it was affecting everybody different was what we were kind of understanding from it. And all the news was saying, this was at the time when like people, you just thought you had to be hospitalized if you got it. So my mom comes home one day from work, and I guess she had taken a test from work and took the test. And I'm at my plug's house smoking, completely blissfully unaware. I thought I had allergies too because I'm allergic to my cat and I hadn't been around it for a couple months. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like, you know, sick or like just have sniffles. And so my mom calls me while I'm literally ripping a dab rig, and I answer the phone and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, MK, you gotta come home now. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I have COVID. I was like, what? And she's like, I just took a test. I have COVID. You have to come home right now. And I was like, what the fuck? So I go home. I'm fucking freaking out. My plug was freaking out too. He had customers there, and I just was like, I have COVID, and then left. And yeah, that wasn't good. So I get home. I'm vlogging it on my fucking story, and everyone was like, when are you going to the hospital? Like, all of this stuff. No one really knew what was going on. So that's why I felt like in some way it was my duty to inform the public that like, hey, even someone with the worst lungs possible can survive this. And at that time I didn't even chop, but I was smoking through it. And I was nervous because my mom used to smoke, and it was just, you know, hitting people who had lung problems, and she's asthmatic. And, you know, COPD or whatever, I think that's what it's called. And a lot of people who are overweight. I hate to say that, but anyone I know whose parents really struggled with it or passed away because of it, or anyone who had a familial member was like diabetic. So it was just like, interesting to see what demographics it was affecting, but also my mom has a lot of lung problems. So I was like super nervous when my mom got sick that she was gonna have a hard time. Bitch bounced right back. She was at work like 2 weeks later. Me, on the other hand, I was sick for like 15, 16 days. And I know it was because of the smoking, but like it was bad. I felt so sick, and it got worse. It was like bad in the middle of it, but it got so uncomfortable like 4 days in, and I was like, this is fucking awful. I like don't like this. Now she's on oxygen. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I mean, like, somewhat, like, the people that I knew that passed away from it were not diabetic, like, born with it. You know, there's the two types, the one that you develop and the one that you're born with. I'm very aware. But it was anyone who got diabetes because they were overweight and were neglecting their physical health. I'm not saying that every overweight person would get it, because there's a lot of people who are considered overweight that I don't think are unhealthy by any means. But I'm saying, like, people who are heavy smokers, people who drink a lot, people who already have heart conditions, like, because of it. I just think about, like, my grandpa. Like, neglect. If he was alive, he would be dead because of COVID. Like, he was extremely big guy. Definitely, like, overweight for sure. Never looked after his health. Always eating greasy food, always eating fast food, high blood sugar, high blood pressure. That runs in my family. Heart problems. I wonder if he was diabetic. Probably wouldn't know though, because he was so schizophrenic he didn't like doctors or trust them, even though his dad was one. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. His dad probably was a fucking asshole. Knowing how the dads are in my family, especially on my dad's side, probably a piece of shit. You know, sometimes I just like to look at the picture of my grandpa outside because he looks like a nice guy. But then I find out he's a horrible fucking person, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about you anymore. Whenever I get really baked. Like, I never met him, so I never really got to make, like, judgment on him, but there's just this one picture of him. Isn't that crazy? I've only seen, like, 3 pictures of my grandpa my entire life.